Hello, friends. I am live. By the way, Merry Christmas, everyone. What a beautiful day today. We have a white Christmas here in Niagara, and I'm sure the rest of Ontario and Canada. So it's been a fun and intimate one at home for myself. How's your Christmas doing so far? Did you make it on Santa's nice or naughty list? I actually have a really funny story about that with my son this morning. But I'm sure many of you guys are also spending quality time with your family. And for those that are still able to spend your time joining us live today, I just want to say thank you. And by all means, type down in the comment section, say hello, tell us what you're up to. Once again, thank you for coming on to this weekly Heart to Heart with My. Today's session is a very special holiday edition because initially I was planning on taking 2 weeks off, but the person that I'm having a talk today that will be my guest is someone I count as more than just a friend. She's like a sister that I've never had. She's basically family. And so for me, it's just another holiday spent catching up with my sister, family. So it's going to be a very intimate session. Now, for many years, she's been an avid traveler and she's been traveling around the world. And of course, some years we only get to talk to each other a couple of times a year. But what I love the most about her is that when we do meet up, again, it's like no time has passed. And we celebrate all the amazing milestones that we both achieved on our own journey. We also share some of the challenges that we've been through. And while we are very different in many aspects, yet we are very similar to one another in many other aspects. And especially the part where we love to connect with others, we love to have deep, intelligent, meaningful conversation, where we each respect each other's point of view and help each other see new angles, new perspectives. And so I figure, it's a special day today. It's Christmas, so why not have that special talk with someone very special in my life? So at this point, I want to introduce to you my sister from another mother, that's Miss Kim Tran, who's, as I mentioned, she's a globetrotter, a cat lover, a savvy investor, and currently holds the position of head of strategic partnerships at Impact, a collaborative platform relying on collective intelligence to produce research and assessments of the social environment impact of companies, which I'm sure she can share a little bit more later. But today's topic is she told me we will be talking about failing forward. So I just want everyone to say hello to Kim. Hi, Kim. You can join me now.
Hi, sweetie. How are you?
I'm good. Okay.
So good to be with you. I mean, we're in full quarantine, so it's so good to connect with you over this holiday
Yes.
and to share our normal, regular chats with the audience because we do this all the time, right?
Yes, we're lucky enough that we get to really have these type of conversations where sometimes it goes quite deep. And I think this is the first time we are going live and sharing some of the things we talk about to the public. But before that, I just want to say happy holidays, Merry Christmas, cheer. Where's your drink?
Merry Christmas to you too, babe. I'm having a tea.
There you go.
Yeah, I should have poured myself a glass of wine, but I didn't want to be saying anything that I will regret later. So I'm sticking with tea right now.
Dang it. I really wanted to get you on that wine so you can share anything I ask you, but that's okay. Tea it is.
Maybe that's another episode. Yeah.
For sure.
So yeah.
So tell me, I mean, we're so close already, but I'm going to treat this like any other interview that I do. But I guess I get to be a little bit more, you know, intimate with you. But for those that might not know your story, I mean, I remember when I said, Kim, let's do a heart to heart with me, and what topic would you want to talk about? And you thought about it, and then you told me that you wanted to talk about failing. And I was like, wow, you know what? That is such a big topic. And, but not a lot of people want or feel comfortable about sharing those things. So, first off, I want to give gratitude to you for the initiative of saying, that's a topic we need to talk about. So, can you kind of share a little bit why you decided to come up with that? Before you go into your story and how that kind of all started from years back then?
Yeah, so I mean, with the new year, we all want to have, we all make New Year's resolution. And especially with this 2020, as you know, everyone is, saying that it's been a really rough year. And with the new year coming up, and, as a society, we celebrate success. And, we look to improve ourselves and to achieve things in society economically. But with 2020 just behind us, as we can see, it's quite hard, especially if you're a business owner, if you have a storefront, if you've been laid off, or if you've been ill, or if your family's been ill. It's been a tough year. So, I wanted to touch on failing forward because, maybe failing is part of succeeding. Like from my own experience, I mean, like anyone who's ever done anything great, they didn't just get there by succeeding year after year, moment after moment. They fail over and over again. And like a couple of weeks ago when we talked about this topic, I shared with you a quote by Winston Churchill, and he said that, and I actually wrote it on my glass board, that the key to success is moving from one failure to the next without a loss of enthusiasm.
Mm.
So yeah, and it's okay to fail, and I want to take this opportunity and this platform to share with you some of my fails. And I mean, in the moment, it sucks, it hurts, it's tough, right? But in hindsight, when you look back, it's what we went to school in 2001 together. So it's been 20 years, right? And so we have a lot of perspective to look back and see, the things that we were so devastated by the failures have actually led us to where we are right now. And as you know, I'm extremely happy with my current state, working for this platform that I extremely believe in. And I just love my job, love my work. And having to let go of my work at TD Securities in hotel banking, it took me 13 years to get to the position I was in. So I feel like I've failed a lot. So I want to share that with everyone, how I failed and how to cope. And, the resources that I have come across, and maybe you can share with your audience afterwards, where I go find things that don't necessarily cost a lot and just kind of help you in your journey of growth.
For sure. Thank you. Yes. So for everyone that's listening in, as Kim mentioned, I mean, I know Kim for over 20 years now, and we both have talked about this failures and all the failures in our life. And of course, we were there for each other, crying, hugging, and then laughing through it all. But
Yeah.
definitely today is all about Kim sharing her insights because, as she mentioned, the Kim that I see today is someone who is really, so happy with where you are in life and where your heart is, and being able to pursue some of the things that you truly believe in and you love. Just basically having the conversation with you, every week, hearing your passion in what you do. But the road there is not easy. So let's start from the beginning. You mentioned back in 2001. So we went to the University of Toronto together. So was that part of your first failure then?
Well, it wasn't the first. The first goes back way, way, way back. It was actually in grade one. I failed grade one, just so you know. Like I didn't pass grade one. And it's
Oh,
yeah,
yes.
and then actually, you know what? So I basically, quickly, growing up in Vietnam, I came to Canada in 1996 when I was 13. So now you know my age. I'm 26, obviously. But yeah, so I failed grade one, and I went to school there all the way to grade like 7 or 8, and I actually never learned the multiplication table. To this day, I still don't know it. You know, it's just one of those things. But I met you in 2001, I think, at U of T, and I remember you were the coolest kid on the block. I used to, before we were friends, remember you work at the rec center, like I forget what it's called now, like the
Yes.
gym of U of T, and I thought you were like the coolest kid. Couldn't believe you were Vietnamese and so cool. You were in like sorority and everything, and I wanted to be your friend. So I'm so happy to, like, this is actually not a failure. This is a success of like becoming your friend and maintaining our friendship for 20 years.
Yeah.
But since then, like, so a significant fail would be, you know, back in university. I mean, I did extremely well in high school, and that's how I got into U of T human biology program. And I had wanted to be a pharmacist, but I failed that. I didn't get in. Because back then, I mean, to be honest, I wasn't particularly studious, and pharmaceutical is a difficult field. I remember they, for the whole of Canada, they wanted to get like 125 students per year max. And then at the time, I was working part time at TD Bank as a teller, and so I just decided to keep going with the bank, and I didn't finish my degree. So I didn't have a bachelor's degree, didn't graduate. And like, to the devastation of my parents, and you know how our Vietnamese culture, we're so, like, we value education a lot, right? And if you don't finish university, you've thrown your life away. And I actually believed that, and I felt a lot of that. But you know, but because I have that kind of chip on my shoulder, so I worked extra hard. I worked extra smart. And at TD, I've learned a lot of, you know, approach HR. I've asked them to allow me to take extra courses. Like, you know, I learned the products and services that I offer, and you know, even without that degree, I managed to get promoted, you know, year after year. But and eventually I ended up in investment banking at TD Securities. But so I want to go back to that failed at not having a degree, while I have friends who have, you know, completed and graduated, and you know, but they didn't end up going into the field that they wanted to go in. And having a job that they love is, you know, sometimes when you feel like a little bit insecure about, you know, maybe not being good enough, it's kind of fuels your performance. So for those of you out there who have yet to graduate, don't fret. You know, you have so many more opportunities, and once you start working, your corporation might be able to sponsor you. They like me, they pay for me to take additional courses and certification at U of T. And then, you know, and I never thought in a million years that now today I have an MBA from Switzerland in sustainability management. But the possibility is there, you know, if you've proven yourself, if you work, you can do some extra testing on when you apply to go to an MBA school as a mature student. There are ways for you to continue in your education without having that bachelor's degree.
Aw, yes, thanks for sharing. But what you mentioned there that I remember is that you realize that without that bachelor degree, you just have to really prove yourself and prove everyone else around you by working extra hard and working smart. I remember you would take these extra courses or these extra class, and you would put in all those extra hours through those years. Um, so
Yes.
I myself graduated from U of T, and I can say that, you know, when it comes to education, I am a firm believer on education, but I do also believe that dependent on your own life situation, education might be a possibility at a higher level. Maybe you don't have that opportunity. You have to go straight to work right away. As many entrepreneurs, I find that you know,
Yes. Yeah.
sometimes they have to go to work, or they just don't know what they want to study. And so there's so
Exactly.
many. So what you're saying is that be resourceful. There's so many different routes. I definitely will tell my children to pursue education as far as they can, but
Yeah,
you know,
and you don't have to do it continuously. You can take a break and come back to it. You just have to know yourself, and like as like a mature person, to go back to school, you take it more seriously. You're financially more stable. Like,
mm,
so for example, because I only did 2 years before I stopped, I didn't really owe a lot of money with OSAP, so that was a financial success. I didn't
mm,
have to borrow so much to go through all the 4 years. But then when I continue to do, so, and also my field study was quite different, right? I studied a lot about like chemistry and such, but because later on I chose to go into banking, those things were not applicable. So when the bank paid for my accounting certificate programs in continuing education at U of T, I had all these certificates that cost a lot of money, but I didn't have to pay for it because it was part of the work perk. So these are
mm.
things that you can take advantage of, and be, financially more independent because, your company pays for you.
Gotcha. So so that failure turns out, of course, not a failure, but a great lesson that that helped you. So then what's next? What's the next one?
What's the next fail? Oh my gosh. So, well, within like maybe before we move on away from this topic, but another fail is when I worked 13 years at the bank. So there was a lot of fails within this professional experience, right? So for example, when I wanted to be promoted, I desperately wanted to be a cash management sales manager. So I took all these like courses and certification and networking to try to get into it, but I just couldn't for some reason. Like I know that I'm more than qualified. I know people who've like my peers who've gone into the program.
Mm,
Um, and I was devastated. I cried. I just thought, life was over. You know how when you're in the situation, you usually get pulled, right?
yeah.
But thank goodness I didn't get into that, because my life since has opened up so much because I didn't get what I wanted. So I failed to get what I thought I wanted. And, without sounding so, fluffy or whatever, but like the universe or the force that is that kind of, leads you to where you're supposed to be. So now that I've come out of it, looking back, I can have that insight, and I'm glad that I'm not part of that. I didn't get what I want, so it forced me to be creative, to think outside the box, and kind of self growth, for instance, just to overcome the disappointment, and then look for the next strategy. Okay, so if this doesn't work, then what else would work? To force you to work on yourself and think about what you want extra hard.
Yes, for
Yeah, so
sure
I
there.
would say professionally, yeah, that was a good fail. So for those of you who are in jobs that you're not happy right now, or whatever, I encourage to kind of think back and look at how you can pivot, and maybe talk to your friends and see what other ideas they can help you with, because I come to you all the time, right, with minor setbacks, and be like, I can't get myself motivated. How can this, like, how can we do this? Yeah.
For sure. Thank you for that. Yes, I think we definitely come to each other as a sounding board, because I think that through the years we kind of know that we are kind of the individual where we are confident enough to share each other what our honest opinions and thoughts are. And sometimes it sounds a little bit harsh, or it might not be what we want to hear, but we are fortunate enough that we're able to tell each other in a gentle way, in a gentle way, and remind each other that this too shall pass, right? This, if it hasn't killed you yet, you will come out of it much stronger, right? Now,
Exactly.
I'm curious in terms of, like, you talked a lot about, like, this is kind of about failure in education, in and coming out of it, and then of course in your career throughout those journey. Did those things have any impact on you from like a whole, like a mental wellness, in terms of that whole up and down kind of roller coaster of kind of like trying to climb the corporate ladder and
Yeah, no, for sure. Like mental health, I'm glad you mentioned that because like in life, like not every day is a happy sunny day, right? Just like the weather, you have the storms, you have the snow, you have the rain, you have overcast, you have sunny days, and it's the same thing with the human lives. And I've sure come through difficult times. And as you know, like I am someone who, when you meet me, you would think I am the happiest person on the planet. I am high energy. I am positive. I mean, I do think positive. I am generally, a positive person. But that doesn't mean that, I don't struggle with mental health and depression, actually. So, like, when I finally decided that, having a stable career at the bank is not what I wanted, and I want more adventure, and then decided to quit and do something else. I fell out of routine. When you have a routine of Monday to Friday, getting up at 6, clean up, going to work, and then go home at 5, 6, 7, whatever, depends on your work. That's the routine that you fall into, and like there's a stability there. But when I quit and I didn't have that, you can sleep at odd hours. It actually, like biologically, it messes up with you. And I actually fell into a pretty bad depression, as you know. And while I was in it, like, to be honest, I thought like, it wasn't worth living even. Oh, this is so like, this is so taboo, right? When it's a taboo topic. But, that goes to show you, like, even really happy, successful people, it doesn't mean that they're happy, successful all the time. And I had to, struggle with coming out of that, and of course with the help of doctors and therapists and friends who are there to kind of see me through, and then also just reading a lot. So this is one of the things that I want to share with your community too, is like I love the library. I used to buy books, but I just go to the library to borrow them now. And reading has helped me so much, right? Like, because you see that all these incredible thinkers, influencers, like famous, successful, accomplished people, they've gone through the same thing. So what makes me so different, right? And I learn about how they come out of these difficult times, and slowly but surely, I have come out of it. As you can see, I'm in a much better place, and but failing to be consistently happy is a blessing in itself, because I have built so much more understanding and compassion for the people who are going through this right now. It makes me a better human being. It opens my heart and my mind more to like my fellow human beings. You know,
so you're
just
more,
failing to be happy, increase your capacity to love,
yeah.
and for that I'm grateful, especially even now with COVID. And we stay home, and I'm sure everyone kind of struggles on some days. But having been through the struggle that I mentioned to you a few years ago, now I kind of recognize in myself, okay, I'm feeling low today, and I know these activities would help, like a good night's sleep, some exercise, or eat better, or keep a good schedule, for example. So I know myself better because I've struggled.
Mm.
And then kind of reel myself in and not let this negativity slip to an end where it's going to be impossible to pull back, until you work on it quite a lot. So yeah,
Well,
another fail.
yes, we say the word failure, but of course these are just lessons to be learned, right? Um,
Yeah.
so what's next then? Let's move on to your next lesson in life, and maybe in another aspect of your life, that you find there were some you know failures there where you had the chance to now reflect back and learned a lot from.
Yeah, so I mean, I think what I've consistently learned is You need to be you need to be kind to who you are. You need to treat yourself like you're someone who's worth your help, you know. And I learned this from Jordan Peterson, a professor at U of T, and his book 12 Rules on Life. He basically said, you know, treat yourself like someone who deserves help, right? So let's say if I see you as my friend who's struggling or who's I don't know, whatever situation you're in, right? I would be kind and compassionate to you to kind of help, you know, steer you in the right direction that I think would be beneficial to you. Oh, sorry,
Mm-hmm.
my cat is like jumping. Hey, Bark off.
Hi, Bark.
um, Hi, Bark. So yeah, so then treat yourself the same, and well, you know, the great thing about being us is that we, like humans, is like we can um sorry, I'm like this
That's
buddy.
okay. You can bring Bark in and say hello to everyone. Hi,
Oh,
Bark. So
maybe he
cute.
can share with everyone his life lesson as well. What do you fail? Well, he came from the shelter, so he failed with life too.
Someone else failed him. But it's
Yeah, so where was I?
oh, you're talking about the book and your lessons that you learned from the
Yeah, so
professor.
treat yourself like someone who's worth helping, you know. So like there's a lot of you know, and I think in especially in the Vietnamese community, with, you know, us being, I don't know, first second generation of immigrants, we still have a lot of residual trauma from our parents and the move from one country to the next, and you know, so there's a lot of things that we need to sort of be gentle to ourselves, and just you know, recognize that there's a lot of healing to do. And so
Mm-hmm.
just, you know, seek out books and read about them to understand, because I also believe that like humanity's been around for a long time. Nothing we feel or struggle with has not been dealt with by other people before. We might feel like we're in this thing all by ourselves and always so unique and special in our suffering, but it's not. Like suffering is the human condition. So just, you know, reach out to people who've gone through it before, to family and friends, or books if you don't have those who help. So treat yourself like someone who deserves to be loved, and then, you know, in time you will be better. And some of the things that I do, and you know, I mean, talking to friends is great, but then sometimes I just have so much to say. So then I would just like have an Excel spreadsheet, and I just kind of type out, you know, all my suffering, all my problems, and I look back and I'm just like, you know, you become more objective,
Mm.
and so kind of like separate your higher self from your struggling self, you know, and try to help yourself.
Mm.
Yeah, so but as human being, we're creative, right? We can do these things, and it really helps. I mean, it has helped me, and you know, I hope that, you know, like these tips would help your audience as well, and you know, so everyone can live a better life.
For sure.
But
So, did you find? I'm. Let's talk. So you talk about career. You talk about work. How about in relationships, family relationships with your family, your loved ones? Have you found these lessons also helped you in those aspects as well too?
yeah, so I mean, like with family is tough, right? Like I said, we're, you know, like my parents moved here from Vietnam, and I moved, like my dad came here first, and he was one of the, you know, regional boat people from Vietnam. So there's a lot of trauma there because, you know, like the ship was sunk by pirates and etc. But that's, you know, another story. And
Mm.
then so my mom had to deal with, you know, like her lost children, and then we moved here. We moved here in '96, so you know, like I think she was in her 50s by then, and you know, parents didn't speak English. So like, how do you navigate yourself? Like for us, when we travel to Europe, right, and to like France, for example, we couldn't ask for direction and this and that. How frustrating is that? But then for them to like move themselves and the kids here and navigate this whole life is, you know, is difficult. So there's a lot of friction and difficulty in like family relationship. But over time, like, you know, I used to have a lot of feelings about like negativity towards these things, but then now I just feel so much compassion, and maybe because I struggled in the past, like I mentioned, with mental health and difficulties with like coping and stuff like that. So I just feel more compassionate towards my parents, you know, especially my dad. who's experienced so much. And so like I'm really thankful for that. And then in my relationship, oh, I mean, it makes me cringe, but yeah, yeah, I've had a few fail engagements, you know, but okay, it's tough, right? I mean, who doesn't want to be happy? Who doesn't want to have a stable partner and grow and be happy? But the thing is, like, I am pretty fearless in that if I see that things are not going to work out, I rather just call it quits than continue something that I don't believe in. So like you have to buy into the life that you're signing up for. Yeah, so I mean, I've come out of like relationships where I thought, okay, well, this is it, I'll never love again, but magically, it's in a few years, time has a way to heal you. And then with the support of and I read a lot of books and talk to friends and therapists about like what is it, why things didn't work out, and how I can be better next time, and for myself, it helps me grow as a person. That when something doesn't work out, it makes you reflect a lot more. So like for me, I reflected a lot more and I learned more about like who I am and what I want. So I am getting closer to myself and more self-aware. So like I hope it will still happen for me. but the like things that didn't work out in the past, like I don't regret it, like I don't wish that, if I can only just endure and make this work, like I don't feel that way at all. So I definitely learn from it and grow from it. Yeah,
for sure.
But I think the enduring theme is that you have to be true to yourself. You have to be true to yourself and kind of ask yourself why you want things and what is it that you want, and just kind of be honest, because then when you're honest with yourself and you know what you want, what you don't want, and then you know what to ask for, right? Or to walk away from situations that you're not happy. I mean, like we know that we have friends or we know people who are in extremely unhappy relationships, who endure and who complain day in and day out, but like they don't do anything about it. And that's suffering. Leaving the relationship is suffering, but staying it is also suffering. You just have to choose your poison.
Well, I think you definitely point to a very important topic there is, yes, you mentioned earlier that these relationships, you think of it as failures if we look at it from the lens of they didn't work out. But like you said, they didn't work out for a certain reason. It's the reason that you felt something in your gut and you felt like this is not leading to the life that you're envisioning, knowing who you are. And if you're continuing, you might lead down to the path where, you might end up getting together, getting married, having kids, and then a divorce, right? I mean, that happens. And if that happens, it's okay too. I mean, life happens, right? But I feel what you're sharing is that the more you know yourself and the more you spend a lot of time reflecting on who you are, it's okay to make that tough decision that this might not be it for you and to move on. And what you're mentioning about there is what I often say, it's that resiliency. It's like saying no, learning to say no. And for a long time in my life, saying no is very difficult. I have a very hard time saying no, right? It's part of this thing where I want to please everybody. But I think the more we age and the more we come to realize who we are, the more we realize when we say no, we're actually doing ourselves a favor and the other person a favor too, so that they can also move on with their life as well too. And when you end a relationship, whether it's business as well, it's not just about romantic relationship, it could be a partnership, it could be relationship. It's important that if it's not right for each other anymore, it's okay to go our separate ways. It's better for both people, because then you can find your own happiness, and you want to be alive, and you want to be your best self, and you want when you surround people, they feel the positive energy that you are versus being grumpy,
Exactly. Yeah,
right?
no, 100%. I couldn't agree more with you. You know, it's important to kind of follow your heart and just kind of be true to who you are. Like actually, I read this there's this website called Wait But Why. They basically distill really complex ideas into simple, you know, language so that we can understand. But one of the articles is about like choosing a partner, you know, and it could be, I don't know, like any kind of partnership, for example. But in this particular instance, they talk about marriage and relationship. And I thought it was so thought provoking that when the guy said that, you know, it's better to be single because you're closer to your happiness than to be like in a bad relationship, because then you have to, you know, you have to break up and you have to heal and then be single and then find the next relationship. You know what I mean? So I am actually really close to happiness right now.
Oh, that's awesome. Yes, definitely. I look at
Yeah,
that way
yeah,
too.
yeah.
Well, wow, I look
And
at our
like,
time and we're definitely already, it's these conversations are always so endearing and so fun that I look at the time, it's always over my 30-minute allocation. Uh, but
yeah.
before we end the live chat, is there anything else that you would like to share to everyone that's listening and tuning in today?
Yeah, so actually, so in my recent role as a head of strategic partnership at Impact, which is a company in Geneva, Switzerland, and we look at you know, measuring impact from corporations have on society and the environment. And I actually like so in this new role, of course, you know, I absolutely love my job, and I talk about it all the time to you and, you know, anyone who will listen. But the funny thing is, like, I have this imposter syndrome. I'm just like, how did I even get here? You know, like, maybe did they make a mistake? Why? Like, you know, in the why I am getting results. You know, like things are happening in the background, and my boss are happy, the HR people are happy, investors are happy, but I myself, I'm not happy. You know, not that I mean, no, sorry, I don't mean to say not happy as in, you know, not happy with the work, but I wish that I could like work more and be more productive. And we've talked about this. So I actually got this book that addresses imposter syndrome. And when I read the introduction, I just check off every box. So just, you know, so this is what I'm working on right now. You know, and so I guess I just want to part you know, this live interview, you know, with saying that we're growing, like we're constantly growing. Just because like I'm here right now, I'm happy, it doesn't mean that I'm still working on things that would improve myself and my performance and, you know, like the outcome of my life. So working on this imposter syndrome is something that I'm excitedly going into and trying to sort out for myself.
Oh, that's awesome. So what's one thing that you learned on that those check boxes that maybe you can share? Anything
Oh my
specific?
goodness.
Now you got me
Yes,
interested.
I don't even know where to start. But basically, you know, a lot of accomplished women in particular, with, you know, like accomplished so much professionally, personally. You can keep a wonderful home. You're a savvy investor. You make, you know, all these things. But then you always attribute these successes to luck, right place, right time, etc. Just like external sources, and not that you have accomplished this. And I definitely, like, you know, I feel that I'm lucky, and I say this all the time, but you know, maybe I need to start addressing these things where, you know, like maybe it was you that caused these successes, and just embrace that, you know. But
Mhm.
yeah, so to be continued. I can share the book with you, so you can post it for those who are interested. It's a really good book I'm reading right now.
For
I think
sure.
I
Oh,
forgot what the title is, but it's something about the secret thoughts of successful women. That's
oh,
the
that's
title of the book.
awesome. I definitely will be borrowing that book from you. We share a lot of books with each other as well. But thank
Uh-huh.
you, Han, for going on this chat. It's been a wonderful chat. And you know what? For everyone that's listening in, Kim is a very private individual, so I don't often hear her go on social media sharing a lot of different things. But I am very truly thankful for her openness to come on to the Heart to Heart to share, because as she probably already know, my passion in creating this is really to share stories of everyone that's going through the same thing that you, whoever that you're listening to, are probably going through. To know that, we all come from the same place, and we can all learn and apply tools that can help us. So you're not in this alone, whatever journey that you're doing. We've all had our demons that we have to deal with. We all have our struggles. We all have our challenges. And I hope that with more people like Kim, like my previous guest and my future guests coming on to share, you can see that, you too have an amazing story to share, and you too have the power to really change your life, right? As you can hear from Kim, from other guest speakers as well too. So with that, once again, Merry Christmas, everyone.
Merry
Hope you
Christmas.
Yes, and well, I'll probably by the next time I talk to you or go on live, it will probably be the new year. So have a great
Yeah.
2021. Hopefully things will look a lot better, but we are resilient, so we will prepare for the worst, but we hope for the best.
Yes. Yeah. Count your blessing and turn your mistakes into learning lessons. They didn't just happen for nothing. They're there to teach you something.
For sure. So learn from 2020 and let's rock and knock out 2021. All right. Bye, everybody.
Bye. Take care. Bye, Han.
Oh, okay. Don't worry.